Yes, it's another virtual summit. And while I hope we can convene in person soon, the news says otherwise. Like all, I have been closely following reports on COVID-19 variants that are on the rise. And now, after more than a year into this pandemic, we face to battle yet a new one, the Delta variant. The medical community has stated it clearly enough that if not everyone is vaccinated, there is a very high likelihood that new or even stronger variants will emerge. So yes, again, vaccine is the key. Hashtag back to normal. This gets us all thinking. If we can have variants of the virus from Alpha to Delta, and now we're talking about Lambda, and so on, then we need to have a workplace model that can go quickly from A to B to C and the other successive letters of the alphabet to adapt to the ever-changing situation. Here's the deal. No algorithm ever predicted a pandemic of this breadth and magnitude. Only movies dare foretell it. It was a work of fiction as far as we were concerned, or at least we never thought it would happen within our lifetime. I'm no HR practitioner by profession, but like most of you, I'm an HR partner who helps make theories tangible and applicable. My valuable input would be experience. If there's one thing this pandemic has taught us and our team, it's how to move forward amidst uncertainties, to look past the bad, to bring out the good, and deliver our best. We are used to talking about agile teams, but in truth, agility can be curbed by circumstance. We had to be fluid enough to adapt to the changes, yet firm on areas where it mattered, such as security, privacy, risk management, compliance, to name a few. What the need called for was a Mercury team. For like Mercury, we had to be able to work under pressure and in extreme conditions. Mercury has a very high surface tension, so it forms rounded beads of liquid under high temperature. Like our team, the more challenges we were faced, the more cohesive we have become. Like a team, it should have harmony in spite of the tension and challenges that surround them, especially if plans do not match the outcomes we predicted. Or in this case, when we are confronted with the unexpected and uncertain. Don't get me wrong. I am not claiming that we're perfect, nor am I saying that we are the best. We definitely had bumps and scrapes along the way. But what is important is that we were able to quickly get up, dust ourselves, and bounce back to do the job. We in RCBC bullishly pushed on when other banks and companies took a step back. We had a lot of plans even before the pandemic, and most of them have been adjusted to be executed at warp speed. The aim is to match the digital acceleration in the industry. It is really about the visionary leadership at the helm and the Mercury team that carried the company through this critical period. In fact, it was the first time that we experienced up to 4-digit exponential growth across digital services. Amidst all this, with still determination, we courageously launched a product, a first of its kind financial inclusion super app at the height of the pandemic last July 2020. For other industry players, however, the blow of the COVID-19 disruption might not have been as tangible. But here's something we can all be certain. The COVID-19 pandemic is definitely not the last crisis that we will be facing. As leaders, this demands that we remain ahead of the game. It doesn't matter if we were only inches ahead of those who follow us. What's important is we work in the front lines and we lead. The pandemic forced most of us to look inward and do some introspection. What does the organization stand for? How does our values figure in the current pandemic situation? Challenging times like this indeed call for reassessment of the organization and reacquainting ourselves with our company's values and our essence as leaders. The key here is being resilient in all aspects, knowing how things might not go as planned, and being always prepared to make necessary adjustments when that happens. Our brand, culture, ecosystem, operations, and customers should be just as resilient. Because of this, RCBC has gone beyond corporate goals and targets and instead has purposefully aligned its strategies with the national objectives. This is also in keeping with the bank's thrust of empowering Filipinos to uplift their lives and take charge of their finances. To deliver on our promise, it was critical that we uphold a culture of positive transformation that marries the values of passion for excellence and heart for the customer. This means true empathy that is responsive with a sense of urgency. The synergy of these two elements constitutes the identity of RCBC. This RCBC identity is what we imprint on every project, product, or innovation that we launch into the market to benefit our customers. This is essential in a crisis situation like the COVID-19. With the health protocols limiting in-person transactions and making it nearly impossible, we have worked on ways to make digital finance more accessible to everyone. From a traditional way of doing things, we put our foot on the gas and turned 180 degrees digital. But we had to make things simple and easy. This is why we have streamlined our online platforms to cater to the needs of every Filipino. From the newbie to the savvy, we were able to tap into our partnerships with small financial institutions and retail stores in order to make banking possible even in geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas, or what we call GIDAs. We became the first private universal bank partner in the disbursement of the much-needed social amelioration program of the Philippine government. It is important to note that digital alone was not the answer. We also had to thank the dedicated bank personnel who bent over backwards to deliver our services to these far-flung areas. Again, our heart for the customers prevailed. Contextual banking enables RCBC to have two mobile apps meant to cater across spectrum, the mass affluent and the mass market. During the pandemic, RCBC mobile app introduced over 20 digital features, including in-app UITF placement, mobile check deposit, and the Philippines' first digital concierge, among others. The DiskarTech app, on the other hand, offered sachet financial services to the mass market to get them into the financial fold, such as sachet savings that earns a 3.25% annual interest, microfinancing, microinsurance, and livelihood opportunities, among others. These digital finance apps can also be used to initiate cardless transactions, another first in the Philippines that promotes synergy and interoperability. Products developed from a deep understanding and empathy for our customers, and at a time when it was needed most. All these efforts have been recognized globally, with RCBC receiving accolades as the best digital bank in the Philippines from various reputable financial publications and organizations. These recognitions RCBC has garnered from 2020 until this year, at the height of a global health crisis, is a testament to our commitment in helping lead the industry towards recovery from the pandemic. Perhaps what keeps us going more than these awards is that during the pandemic alone, we have successfully onboarded millions of Filipinos into the formal financial system through digital, pushing to fore our financial inclusion advocacy. To this day, we are the first local universal private bank to have the most extensive reach, with registered customers from across all 81 provinces nationwide and reaching 100% of the poorest provinces. This is what our work is all about. And this is the mission that we also want our employees to undertake. And undertake this mission, they did, and continue to espouse. The pandemic brings out in all of us a longing for a deeper purpose. And this is exactly what RCBC's mission is to its employees. This sustains them to keep on going and to keep on growing. Our employees are the ambassadors of our companies. They represent all that we do and all that we stand for. As leaders, we are able to lead them to embody the company's values and carry on with our mission. Then we are on the right track. Just like our customers, employees are integral components across organizations, and we should value them as we do our customers. The same way as the whole is only as good as the sum of its parts, a leader is only as good as his or her team. So how do we truly thrive in this new now? How do we create and strengthen teams? Most importantly, how do we lead? I may not have the absolute answers to this, but what I can share is born of experience that I hope you can pick up from. Amidst all these disruptions, the most valuable thing this pandemic has taught us is to go back to basics and cherish what matters most. So, in leadership, let me skip the Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Jack Ma of this current world and go local. Back to our premier national hero and our company's namesake, Rizal, the Rizal leader in this new now. What you see here is actually a photo of my son working from our farm. I stole this shot thinking I can use it in one of my talks someday, and now I'm putting it to good use. Well, of course, now with consent. This is a representation of our new work from anywhere workplace. This is the embodiment of our juxtaposed world where we live digitally but crave for the basics, where one may focus on work while wrestling the daily activities at the home front. Similarly, as a leader, we need to steer a team that is expected to deliver tangibles while physically disconnected to the rest. We face disruptions left and right, both professionally and personally. Thus, you can say that we are operating in a disrupted environment. What will enable companies to survive and even thrive in a post-pandemic workplace is the ability to quickly adjust to the changing needs of the business environment. We need to be agile, but to get to this state, we need to Rizalize our leadership. R. Resilient management. Resilience is defined as the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. And as a leader, resiliency means sharpening your emotional quotient or EQ when managing your teams. You can't be the first to fold or break under pressure. Easier said than done? You're absolutely right. But this is where you separate a boss from a leader. A boss tells you what to do, while a leader guides and works with you to bring out your best in a situation and make things work. You need to be able to anticipate the challenges your team may face along the way and quick on your feet to think of solutions to address them. When the pandemic hit, our organization was one of the first to adopt the then work from home mode, even before ECQ or the Enhanced Community Quarantine was announced by the Philippine government last year. Personnel were quickly equipped with tools to enable them to deliver service even remotely. We also recognize the need to strengthen the body system within the teams to ensure continuity. We plan out possible scenarios given the new strains or variants being discovered. There was a survey done by LinkedIn pre-pandemic. It says that 93% of employees stay longer in a company if they feel empowered. But how does that translate in our current situation? Working in remote has its plus and minuses, and one of the challenges is how to keep our hands on the reins when everything sometimes feels out of whack. As leaders, we tend to micromanage in this situation to put us in a power of control. Online team interconnection may connect us 24/7, but it can also make us feel detached. However, we need to keep in mind that taking a step back is essential to objectively be able to reassess our team's strengths and weaknesses. Therefore, how do we make our teams feel empowered? Remember that empowerment doesn't simply mean delegation. To feel empowered, we need to make our team part of the decision making. They need to know the why, having a full understanding not just of your goals, but of your journey in reaching that goal. Make your people more invested. It will make them more resourceful, motivated, and inspired. For instance, establishing a favorable working condition is part of our survival in this new now. For my team, they were empowered to decide the best way to do it. We had teams who work from anywhere mode in 2-week shifts. Teams were also encouraged to periodically brainstorm and propose strategies. In fact, we actually have to thank our millennials for some of our social media executions, as they became our major source of insights, especially as we traverse the digital media space. Some of them even successfully hosted our YouTube channel and had their own followers in the process. Well, the downside, they might opt to move to a new career after this. As leaders, it is important to create opportunity for our team to know each other beyond work and to enjoy each other's company as individuals. In this paradoxical, connected yet detached state, keeping a healthy working dynamic is important, as it encourages synergy and fuels creativity. And creative we truly need to be. Z for Zushi simply is making something more exciting, lively, or attractive. In navigating our workplace in the new now, we need to inject a spirit of fun and excitement, hand in hand with recognition and incentives. Incentives do not always mean monetary. It can be as simple as a food treat or a themed online party. In the midst of the pandemic and at the height of the government amelioration program, or what we call Ayuda, we too had our own Ayuda team activity. We had, a chance to chat and catch up on each other's lives and struggles over food. And we talk about things. It was also an opportunity to nurture hobby swapping tips and sharing experiences. For foodies, their must-try eats, and a lot of things. We also had a wine online party which put everyone definitely in a good mood. All work and no play can truly make Jack a dull boy. It's all about striking the perfect balance. Speaking of balance, this leads us to the next leadership practice: amplified listening and communications. Amplified? Yes, because we need to listen not just with our ears, but with our eyes and our hearts as well. In the same vein, we also don't communicate with mere words, but with actions. As business leaders, we are expected to recognize talents. But in the new now, we are also expected to recognize the team's struggles, especially emotionally and psychologically. Current working conditions force our teams not just to juggle the personal and the professional, but to find sanity and harmony in the juxtaposition of these two worlds. Those from big families like mine need to find their peace of mind amidst the frenzy of home activities, while those living alone need to feel human connections. Therefore, we need to listen with all possible senses and look for signs to tell us when it's time to offer support. Amplified listening is not a one-way street, or is it one-dimensional. We not just listen to our teams, but to the customers who benefit from our efforts and affect our business decisions. As a leader, I make it a point to check daily the different social media for customer concerns and sentiments that will help us do a better job. Every so often, I also check on how my team may be feeling, not only by asking them straight out, but also checking on their social media. Well, of course, we're all friends, by the way, because it's their way of wearing their emotions on their sleeves these days. You have FB, IG, and Twitter as your additional listening tool. Make use of them. It may tell you things you may not otherwise have any inkling about. There was a quote on depression, which I read online once, and it hit me. It had a line that said something like, and I quote, "I may look the same outside, smiling and laughing at what you say, but inside I'm empty and broken," unquote. Very poignant and true. We not always see the signs, but we can find it if we look hard enough and care enough to do so. We need to know when it's time to give our team a break, at times even force them for their own sake. In RCBC, like I'm sure in other companies, we also provide our employees with a mental health hotline and make available psychologists for consultation, especially for those who need to cope with deeper emotional issues. We should remember how employees mirror our customers and extend to them the same compassion and understanding. This is also a good way to validate their importance. Hand in hand with listening is communication. My team members come from different fields, and the context that they bring to the workplace enrich the work that we do. We need to constantly communicate with them, not only to clearly align our goals and vision, but to understand how we can leverage on each other's strengths to survive in this new now. Gone are the days when we say, "I'm done for the day and I'm heading home." In this digital world, we can easily be connected wherever we are. Thus, our only excuse is, "Ay sorry, walang signal," or "no connectivity," or choppy ka. Micromanaging is tempting, especially since everyone is just on speed dial. However, it may not be the best way to drive results. Instead, focus on the bottom line and be more results-oriented. To help make this happen, create a strong body or team support system to ensure that no deliverable is left hanging when a team member experiences a challenge. It is important to keep the first 4 practices I earlier mentioned to get to this point. A leveled up teamwork is one that is highly functioning and synergistic. It also means being able to successfully create a work confluence where teams can use available resources and complementary services efficiently and effectively. With digital acceleration getting more push from the technological innovations over time, workplace composition will be more diverse. Learning from the current pandemic situation and with the technology available, hybrid teams of AI and human personnel, both on-site and working remotely, will keep our products and services up and running 24/7. Far from the notion of robots or AI totally replacing humans in the workplace, we have actually realized how digital acceleration requires a human workforce in order to make it possible. From March 16 to July 1st, 2021 alone, RCBC has onboarded 421 personnel in various teams in order to continue and enhance our operations. These new hires, as well as those who have been with the company longer, including myself, have been undergoing a lot of reskilling, retooling, and upskilling to better equip us for the next normal. Rizal was a man ahead of his time. He once said that he writes not for his generation, but for other ages. He said that the generation who will interpret his writings will be an educated generation who will understand and say, and I quote, "Not all were asleep in the nighttime of our grandparents," unquote. And true enough, his writings have been staff scholars have dissected and studied with eagerness. Even during his time, Rizal was woke. And as leaders, we too need to be woke. Woke to the changing times and changing needs of the people we serve, we work for, and the team we lead. This is the only way for us to survive and thrive in this new now and the next normal to come. Thank you and stay safe. Mabuhay.